Blessed Maundy Thursday, everybody, and Tony here with a review of Bach's Johannes Passion, which was shown at the Budapest State Opera House. The conductor and chorus master was Galman Strauss. The production was done by Carolia Perez. The set designer was Balázs Csigla. The costume designer was Enrico Carpati. And the choreographer was Balázs Vince. Now, this is also the second time I have watched this particular oratorio composed by Johann Sebastian Bach. And a lot of people say that this is one of Bach's most obscure and most underrated works compared to the likes of his St. Matthew's Passion. And I basically first saw this in a live stream production from the Berliner Philharmoniker with Sir Simon Rattle on the podium. And during an interview involving with Sir Simon Rattle, he stated that this particular oratorio from Bach was very well known for being powerful and has a lot of really strong undertones in the score. And, well, I really have to say that this was a most appropriate review for this Maundy Thursday celebration. With that said, let's get on to what I thought about the production, costumes, singers, and the conducting. I thought that the production and the costumes were very well done. What was present in this production was that this was basically a blank stage, but it was not completely blank, as it had like a stained glass window of the 14 stations of Jesus' crucifixion. It starts off with Jesus' trial with Pontius Pilate, and then has him carrying the cross all the way to Golgotha, and then the main crucifixion itself before he ends up being taken down from the cross to be buried. And I thought it really played this production very well and was basically done with tact. And it really leaves a very strong and very subtle tone to the score and to the overall mood of this particular oratorio production. And I definitely enjoy it and just really felt immersed every single time I saw everything happen on stage. And the costumes I thought were very well done. A lot of the chorus members wear white, and even the evangelist wears white, and some of the solo singers who are on a platform where the stained glass windows are basically in black, except for Jesus, who is in his usual attire. So I really have to say that the production and the costumes really suit the overall mood and the overall gravitas of the piece really well. And the singers were just excellent. Starting off with the evangelist, who usually narrates the entire action, was Joseph Muck. Now, I have never heard of the singer before, but every time as I've read his biography, he seems to have specialized in a lot of the lyric tenor roles from Mozart and even the Italian, French, and German roles in general. I really liked his singing. He has a very fine and very well-tuned instrument, which he was able to manipulate very well. His singing was sweet and very much gorgeous to listen to, with wonderful tones, fine high notes, and just an overall pleasant timbre. And then we have the role of Jesus of Nazareth, who was sung by Istvan Kovacs, who has a very strong stage presence, and I totally was enthralled by his performance, and he really inhabited this role of our Savior very well, and he really had a certain gravitas and a certain type of charisma that he puts in this role, and he basically inhabited it so well that I was practically immersed. And then we have the role of Pontius Pilate, sung by the young bass baritone Zoltán Nagy, who has a very fine voice and an equally fine stage presence, and more than anything, a very wonderful future. And that's what I could really see for this gentleman. His voice was absolutely well-tuned and very fine, that I was practically taken in by his performance, vocally and theatrically, and I was just totally blown away by just how much talent this guy actually has. Then we have the soprano soloist, who was Zita Siemera, was a very fine and sweet dulcet voice which flows out of her mouth like a cascade of pearls and diamonds. She was able to use her sparkling, light lyric soprano voice with such beauty and with such grace that I just practically had my heart melting. Then we have the mezzo soprano soloist who was Atala Shuk, who I've heard a lot about many times as she specializes in a lot of the lyric mezzo roles. And I did hear a couple of clips of her and saw a couple of pictures of her singing Carmen, which I also felt was really interesting. And hearing her live was just wonderful. She really has a really fine and vibrant mezzo-soprano voice, which she was able to use to her advantage. And she sang her numbers very, very wonderfully with a very focused tone and a very fresh timbre. Then we have the Bosso soloist, who was Domongos Blasio, who has a very fine voice and a very fine stage presence. So overall, I really have to say that the quality of the singing did not disappoint. In fact, it was very excellent. What I also like to mention was the dancers involved in the entire oratorio. They seem to also really carry the piece very well with a lot of great movements and really close attention to the text. And they just moved really freely on stage. And the conducting done by Galman Strauss was well done. Though I kind of wish that he could have been a little bit more lento in the first chorus, Herr unser Herrscher. Because usually I would love this opening chorus to be sung or even conducted a little bit slowly and a little bit with more gravitas and a little bit more pathos in it. Here I had the impression that he was a little bit in a rush. But regardless, despite that, the rest of the evening's oratorio was conducted really well. And he has a very fine attention to the text and to the music, even though I kind of wished that the first chorus would have been composed or conducted in a little bit more of a lento fashion. So overall, this was definitely a very appropriate way to really have this review on Maundy Thursday. I also have to say that this was definitely a great evening for watching this oratorio at this particular opera house, thanks to all the fine singing from all the soloists and the chorus, and even the fine performances of the dancers, and even Maestro Galman Strauss for his fine conducting. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow on Good Friday, where I review Wagner's Parsifal, also at the same opera house. So until then, I hope you all have a very blessed Maundy Thursday. Take care, everybody.